I'm going to walk you through my process of making over these dresser drawers because I often do really quick before and afters. And while those are impactful, I'm realizing that I'm not teaching a whole lot. So I wanted to give you the step-by-step. So if you are making over a dresser, you can do the same. This is a custom piece I'm doing for a client. It's not going to be a huge makeover, but it's going to be impactful. We're going to go a lot more modern. So to start out, I am going through and removing the hardware. I'm just using a screwdriver to do this and putting all of the hardware, the screws and the knobs into a Ziploc bag, which I like to do so you don't lose any pieces during the makeover. And then I also will write the client's name on the bag because if I'm working on multiple pieces, I don't want to mix up whose is whose. It was about 33 degrees and super hot that day, so I am not dressed in the way that I should be in work attire. Please ignore that and do better, but wearing gloves and proper footwear and covering your legs and, well, I'm wearing glasses, but wearing goggles is probably better too, just as a reminder to always keep health and safety at top of mind and do as I say and not as I do. Okay, so I'm going through and cleaning now. So this is TSP, which is a heavy-duty degreasing solution. I get mine from Home Depot. And what this is doing, I'm just using a microfiber cloth to rub that solution into the finish to make sure that it gets any dust or grime or anything that might be something that we can't see that would impact the adhesion of the paint that we're going to be putting onto this. And the reason we do it before sanding is because we don't want to work that grit and grime into the sander or the sandpaper. Then I'm going in with this Elmer's wood filler and we're going to, I was going to say clog, but I guess it is clogging. We're going to fill the old hardware holes because we're going to be updating the hardware with poles that have require two different holes. So I'm just taking some of that product and working it into the hole a little bit and trying to make it so it's a little bit of a mound, if that makes sense, once it dries versus being like not filling the hole enough. And then that'll take a couple hours to fully dry because, again, it was so hot. And also I'm working a lot of product in there. So then I just went through with my Surf Prep sander and about 220 grit sandpaper and I'm scuff sanding. And there was some kind of gloopy spots in the old paint finish. So I'm sanding those away and also getting rid of the orange peel paint finish that was on lots of these to make sure it's smooth because we want a good base for our paint. Then I used some painter's tape and taped off the edges on the sides just so there's a nice, crisp, clean line when we are finished. Then using Fusion Mineral Paint in the color Chateau, I did my first coat of paint. I recommend doing multiple light coats of paint instead of trying to get full coverage immediately when you're painting because that way it's going to be not only smoother, but it's going to dry better and dry faster too when you go that route. So just try and do that whenever possible. And the brush that I'm using here is from Dixie Belle. It's called the Belle brush. And once I was done with that first coat of paint, I noticed a couple more nicks that I wanted to fill to make this look better. So I did that with the same wood filler, let it dry, and then sanded that back. And now I'm going through and drilling the new hardware holes. I'm using a Craig hardware jig to do that. It acts as like a template to match the pulls that I am going to be putting on it, and it makes it so much quicker and easier. I love this tool. If you're interested in grabbing one, I got it at Home Depot. It was around $30. And then I went through and I put 2 more coats of paint on, if I recall correctly. So 3 total. And again, light, thin layers. I recommend going back with a long swipe at the end like this, just because it gives it a nice kind of smooth finish. And then look at the directions for proper drying time. And don't forget the edges. I then went in with a Minwax polyacrylic in a clear matte finish for top coat, and I think I did 2 coats of top coat. This one is a little less matte than your average matte, so there's like a bit of a sheen. It's kind of in between a satin and a matte. And then I let that dry overnight and then came in and put the new hardware on. These are 4-inch gold pulls that I got from Amazon in a 10-pack for around $30, so pretty good bang for your buck. I've used these on a few projects and they look beautiful, are fairly inexpensive, and they are very good quality for how much they are. and then it's ready for its dresser. Hope you learned something new. Follow for more.